Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to today's meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley. Here. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Krasner. Here. Senator Steinbeck. Here. Chair Orenshaw.
Present. Please mark Majority Leader Cannizzaro present when she arrives. A few housekeeping measures. I'd like to remind everyone to please silence their electronic devices. If someone wishes to testify today during one of the bill hearings, please sign in at the table by the door. Please provide a business card, if any, to our committee secretary. For those joining online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and affiliation, if any, for the record. Then turn the microphone off each time you're done speaking. If you're going to provide paper copies of any handouts for a bill, we do ask for 20 paper copies for members of the public here in the committee room in Carson City. Electronic copies should have been submitted in PDF form to our committee manager 24 hours in advance of the committee meeting. If there's anything you wish to submit, you can email it to our committee secretary, and it will be made part of the record, any exhibits you wish to submit. Sometimes we deal with controversial issues in the Legislative Operations Elections Committee that not everybody agrees on. However, we do expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during this meeting to all parties, even if we don't agree with someone else's position on one of the issues. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents, so please don't view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. As a reminder, we may take agenda items out of order. We will take public comment at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes, and I did want to advise everyone that Vice Chair Daley and I are presenting bills up in the Assembly Legislative Operations and Elections, and so we will be heading up there, kind of taking turns. And when I'm upstairs, Vice Chair Daley will be conducting the hearing, and when he's upstairs, we'll be short a member. We will be in a brief recess for just a minute. All right, a couple of schedule changes. We're very fortunate to have our Assembly Majority Leader here. Welcome, Majority Leader Howdege. Would like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 477. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Sandra Howdege, and I proudly represent Assembly District 41. Today, I'm presenting Assembly Bill 477, along my co-presenter, Emily Zamora from Silver State Voices. And we also have Alex Kashura from Prison Policy here on Zoom to help us answer questions. Alex, are you with us?
If broadcasting, I think we might have a witness on Zoom, but I'm not sure if we've got an issue there with him. But if he's able to log in, we sure appreciate you being here via okay. Zoom, and we'll keep an eye. Hopefully, if there's a technical difficulty, we can get that resolved. But thank you, Majority Leader.
Okay, thank you. Assembly Bill 477 is a cleanup bill to Assembly Bill 450 of the 2019 session. This bill is necessary in order to help Nevada comply with the 2019 state law. In 2019, Nevada took steps to address the issue of prison gerrymandering. Prison gerrymandering is the act of counting incarcerated persons as residents of an area where the prison is located that gives inflated representation to that community. In 2019, we presented Assembly Bill 450 that changed the law to make sure that incarcerated persons would be counted at their last known place of residence instead of at the prison, solely for the purpose of census counting to redraw redistricting lines. That's simply it. All we are trying to do is make sure that incarcerated persons are counted in the areas where where they will return to once they leave prison. This allows us to accurately draw our legislative, congressional, and Board of Regents districts. This is about getting accurate numbers for the next redistricting. With that, Chair, I'm going to turn it over to my co-presenter, Emily Zamora.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, Ms. Zamora. Thank you for being here to help present AB 477 today.
Thank you so much, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora, and that's spelled PERSAUD-ZAMORA, and I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices. Today, I'm very grateful to Assemblymember Hadagi for this opportunity and for working with us on this issue since 2019. As Assemblymember Hadagi has explained, this has been quite a journey. We started working on this bill in 2019 in the form of AB 450. And so why exactly are we here today? As folks may know, the census happens every 10 years. It's the only survey that the United States government does require to occur every 10 years. The next one will be in 2030. And part of the census's goal is to ensure that we are counting the number of all people living within the United States of America. The federal government complies and analyzes the census data and then provides it to the states. From there, the state is responsible for using census data for redistricting. For viewers who may not be aware, in the state of Nevada, the redistricting process does happen via the legislature. Anyone can create maps and provide feedback, and ultimately the Nevada legislators will vote for new maps. And if you all are here in 2031, you all will be part of that process. It is during the redistricting process that you may have heard of the term gerrymandering. There are a variety of different types of gerrymandering, but for just definition, gerrymandering is the intentional manipulation of maps to create an advantage for a particular candidate, party, or groups of people. So when AB 450 passed, one of the things that we saw during the redistricting process is we received a lot of feedback around issues in being able to collect the data in an appropriate manner. During specifically, there was an interim redistricting committee held a meeting on October 27th of 2021, and LCV staff members and NDOC and the state demographer all provided updates on the status of the reallocation of inmates pursuant to AB 450. They provided lots of data. I will provide all of that with my testimony so that folks will have that for their reference. But the big takeaways that were discussed during this meeting is that there were issues with data quality, such as incomplete addresses, errors, typos, incompatible addresses such as PO boxes, or formatting issues. And there was also a lack of clarity and guidance around which types of addresses to use for the redistricting process and how allocation of unallocated inmates, how that should actually occur. At this particular meeting, we learned that only 51.5% of inmates were reallocated. Clearly not what we ideally would like. We would like to get as close to 100% as possible, right? And so after this, there was a lot of work done with the governor's office and NDOC at the time, and we were able to get closer to a 70% of collection and information, but hoping that with the passage of AB 477, we can get to a better place.
And before we go to questions, I did just want to know, one of the things I left out, that our Nevada Constitution actually states that for the purposes of voting, people in prison should be counted as residents of their hometowns. And so we're just trying to align with what our Constitution currently states.
Thank you, Majority Leader Hadagi and Ms. Prasad Zamora, for your important work on this this really important legislation. I know Broadcasting was trying to fix the Zoom link with the other co-presenter, and unfortunately, we haven't fixed it yet. If they want to call in. Oh, there they are.
We have Alex online.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
Alex
Broadcasting, and thank you for joining us.
Alex is just here to help us answer questions.
Thank you so much, and thanks, Broadcasting, for fixing that Zoom link. Members, any questions for Majority Leader Hadagi, Ms. Prasad Zamora, or our co-presenter on Zoom? I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'd like to open it up now to support for Assembly Bill 477. Anyone who'd like to speak, please come forward, state your name for the record. We'll start in Carson City, then we'll go down to Vegas if anybody wants to speak in support, then we'll go to the phone lines.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, Vice Chair Daly, Kayla Maese, Kaylah Maese, Civil Rights Analyst at the ACLU of Nevada. The ACLU of Nevada supports AB 477, and we urge the committee to support as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Whoever would like to go next, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. My name is Nick Shepek, Nickshepak. I am the Nevada State Director of the Fines and Fees Justice Center. We don't get to often testify on elections bills, so I'm very happy to be here today. The people we represent are disproportionately impacted by the criminal justice system, both through incarceration and once they are released on parole. Ensuring that they have accurate representation ensures that laws are crafted to protect them and ensure their success and promote community safety. For those reasons, we strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Shepak. Good to see you in Senate Ledge Hobbs. Whoever would like to begin next. Good afternoon, Dr. Tenorio.
Isaac Tenorio, Izack Tenorio. Strategy 60, today representing Campy Legal Center. Campy Legal Center supports AB 477, a bill that would allow Nevada to fully implement the law that had passed in 2019 with intention to ending prison gerrymandering. Prison gerrymandering distorts the democratic process by counting incarcerated individuals where they are in prison rather than their legal residency for the purpose of redistricting. During the 2020 redistricting cycle, Nevada only reallocated about 65% of people in the state prison back to their home communities. The reform in this bill should ensure an improved process during the next redistricting cycle. This bill clarifies the duty of the Department of Corrections to collect inmates' last known residential address and relevant data, provides guidance when this data needs to be shared with the state demographer, and it requires unique identifiers to be used. It crucially lays out the procedures for the state demographic to follow for people incarcerated in Nevada who have last known address, who do not have a last known address, or whose last known address are outside of the state. Proper implementation is vital for the effectiveness of this law and policy, and we applaud the committee for tackling this issue and considering this reform. And we'd like to thank the Majority Leader and Executive Director Zamora for this great legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tenorio. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Noe Orozco. That's N-O-E, accent over the E, O-R-O-S-C-O, and I'm the Government Affairs Manager with Make the Road Nevada. In Nevada, the redistricting process normally takes place during the legislative process, just like the presenters had mentioned. But because of the pandemic, there was a delay in providing the 2020 census redistricting data summary files, which are also known as the PL 94-171 files. And because of that, there was a special legislative session because the information was provided in August of 2021. So whenever we're thinking about the redistricting process, we should be thinking about it throughout the 120 days, not during a special legislative session. Make the Road Nevada and the Nevadans Count Coalition advocated for accurately reallocating incarcerated individuals to their home communities. As the sponsor indicated, there was a lack of clarity and guidance in the data, but there was also a gap between the state demographer and the Departments of Corrections as to who was supposed to be providing certain information or collecting that information. And initially, the state was able to reallocate about 51% of incarcerated individuals. Nationally, states that have something very similar, we had saw that it was closer to 60%. And as the person who spoke just before me indicated, it was closer to 65 when we were able to reallocate an additional 1,000 individuals just because of the advocacy that the Nevadans Count Coalition had done. Incarcerated individuals remain residents of their home districts, and those that are citizens have the right to vote restored upon release. These individuals still deserve to be represented in the communities that they belong, and their votes should go towards improving the places where their loved ones live and where they are going to be rebuilding their lives. And this is why we support AB 477, and we urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your testimony. Not seeing anyone else in support in Carson City, Las Vegas. I don't see anyone else coming to the table in support. Broadcasting, do we have anyone on the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 477?
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 477, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. We understand you've got many other things. We appreciate you being here today. Thank you. Have a great day.
One moment, please. Caller with the phone number ending in 677, please press *6 to unmute your line. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jenna Vella. I'm with Battleborn Progress. I'm here today to express my strong support for AB 477. Right now, people in prison are counted as residents of where they're incarcerated, not where they're actually from. This shifts political power away from their home communities, many which are already underrepresented. AB 477 fixes this by making sure people are counted based on their last known address before incarceration. That's a simple and fair change that makes sure redistricting reflects real communities, not prison populations. This bill is about fairness and accurate representation. I urge you to support AB 477. Thank you for your time.
If you've recently joined and would like to testify in support of AB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. There are no other callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now go to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to Assembly Bill 477 who wishes to be heard here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas? Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone come forward in either of the hearing rooms. Broadcasting, do we have anyone on the phone lines in opposition to Assembly Bill 477?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Oscar Williams, OSTAR WILLIAMS, Reno, Nevada. I am in opposition to AB 477. I'd like to start with a question. Do you guys know how many non-citizens are currently in prison? I don't think the federal government knows, but if you know, that would be important because this bill does not give any credence to non-citizens, right? And if they're in our jails, they may have a chance to vote, and certainly they could be counted on the census. And ultimately, those are the goals of this bill: is to skew the vote, skew the census. In addition, this bill is a nightmare to administer. For example, we have prisoners from out of state in our jails. Will they be getting a Nevada ballot? Or will we be processing a ballot from their home state for them? I don't think this bill even addresses that. Will other states reciprocate in regards to voting? Will they be counted in the census for our state? I don't know. And of course, this bill has a huge unfunded mandate. There's a lot of reasons to oppose AB 477. I urge you to vote no on this. Thank you very much.
Caller with the phone number ending in 698, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Gifford, ELLEN GIFF as in Frank, ORD as in David. In Nevada statutes, Title 32, Revenue and Taxation, NRS 360283 mandates the Department of Taxation shall employ a demographer to assist in the determination of population and to cooperate with the federal government in the conduct of each decennial census as it relates to the state. Current law states that the state demographer shall revise the population counts by counting every inmate who was a resident of the state before incarceration, period. Section 2 of this bill changes the duties of the state demographer from not counting inmates who did not have an address in our state before incarceration to counting inmates who did not have an address in our state before incarceration. This compromises the results of this count. The question that must be answered is, Has this bill been developed in cooperation with the Department of Taxation, who employs the state demographer and is responsible to the federal government, who makes important decisions that impact the welfare of Nevadans upon the results of this count? With the governor, who must certify this count? Without their involvement in the content of this bill, it should go no further. Thank you.
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 477 and you've recently joined us, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now go to neutral on Assembly Bill 477. Anyone who's neutral and wishes to be heard here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward in either of the hearing rooms. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who's neutral to the measure and wishes to be heard? We are 2 minutes per speaker.
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Public line is open and working, and there are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. I know Majority Leader Hadagi had to step away. Ms. Prasad Zamora, any closing comments you'd like to make?
Thank you so much, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. I just wanted to close by indicating, I think, just a couple of things based on some of the testimony. I did want to indicate that this bill, AB 477, doesn't have anything to do with the ability to cast a ballot or somebody's right to vote. It is just a matter of representation. I wanted to clarify that, so there is nothing about ballots, receiving ballots, or anything like that. I also did want to mention that with the redistricting process, it is about every person who lives in this state, regardless of what their citizenship status, as long as they are a resident, and that is statute, right? So I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record. I did also want to just a little quick closer. At Silver State Voices, part of our work involves census and redistricting. We believe that census and redistricting are not only important pieces of our state's democratic process, but also send a strong message about who is included in our society. Once a decade, the census gives us a snapshot of who we are as a state and as a country. We strongly believe that incarcerated individuals are part of our communities, and if we want a truly representative democracy, our policies should reflect that accordingly. Thank you very much for your time. This bill did pass unanimously in the Assembly, so we're hoping for the same in the Senate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Prasad Zamora. Yeah, we actually have one question from Senator Steinbeck.
Thank you, Chair. Just occurring to me, a quick question was unhoused. How do you account for unhoused as far as the last known location?
Please go direct.
Thank you. Senator Steinbeck, that's a wonderful question. Honestly, for my opinion, there isn't a perfect formula. I think the state does as much as possible. When it comes to census and redistricting, there are specific teams that the state does create to ensure that they're going within the communities of many of the unhoused community to be able to count them during the census to collect that information so that it's used during the redistricting process. It's been the best process that I've witnessed amongst many other states. Is it a perfect process? I don't think that it's perfect because, with the unhoused community being transient, it's hard to capture everyone, but that is the current process within the state of Nevada.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And
apologize, I should have said my name for the record, but Emily Prasad Zamora.
Thank you, Ms. Prasad Zamora. We appreciate your hard work, Majority Leader Hadagi's hard work, our co-presenter there on Zoom. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to close the hearing on Assembly Bill 477. Committee, I'd like to now move to work session. Today we have on our agenda Assembly Bill 306 on for a work session. I will remind everyone that the work session is the time for the committee to act on bills. We will not be taking further testimony or rehearing the bill. However, as chair, I may at times ask one of the interested parties to come forward to answer a question or clarify an issue. The bill on work session is Assembly Bill 306. I'd like to now turn it over to our policy analyst, Mr. Pepper Sturm, to walk us through the work session document.
Mr. Chair, I'm Pepper Sturm, Committee Policy Analyst with LCB Research Division. As a reminder, as nonpartisan staff, I cannot advocate for or against any measure. The chair has just asked me to review the work session document. The committee members should have a copy of this document printed on green paper, and there are copies for the public in attendance, and electronic versions are available at the committee's website for today's meeting. Assembly Bill 306 R1 was sponsored by Assembly Members Yeager and a number of others. We heard the bill on April 29th of this year. It requires county clerks in certain counties for the period beginning day after the last day of early voting and ending the day before Election Day to establish a certain number of mail ballot drop boxes locations that must be open for at least 7 hours a day. The bill additionally requires ballot drop boxes to be monitored at all times when made available for use and secured during any period when not available for use. Secretary of State must adopt regulations to establish requirements for monitoring and securing ballot drop boxes. There were no amendments proposed for this measure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sturm. I would accept a motion to do pass on Assembly Bill 306.
Motion to do pass.
Motion from Vice Chair Daley. Is there a second? I have a second from the Majority Leader. Members, any discussion on the motion? Senator Steinbeck.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be voting no, but reserve my right to change on floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Steinbeck. Any further comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Madam Secretary, please note that Assembly Bill 306 did pass 3 in favor and 2 against, Senator Steinbeck reserving his right. And I will take the floor statement on that bill. With that, we are done with the work session, and we are now going to move to our next bill hearing. We are very fortunate we have Assembly Bill 148. And Assemblymember Hafen, thank you for your patience. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Chair, committee members. For the record, my name is Gregory Hafen II. I represent Assembly District 36, which encompasses the western portion of Clark County, very small sliver of Lincoln County, and part of Nye County. With me today, I have my intern, Elijah Weon, who has put together this lovely graphic for us using the color purple intentionally. I will get to that here briefly. I'm pleased to introduce Assembly Bill 148, which revises the deadlines for the distribution of sample ballots and mail ballots. Little background information, as you know, sample ballots are sent out to all the registered voters, and they contain important information, such as voting locations, descriptions of ballot measures, candidates as they will appear on the ballots, et cetera. I don't need to get into all the details since you are all experts in this committee. So the current law requires the city and county clerks to distribute the sample ballots before the period for early voting, which is on the third Saturday preceding the election, which you'll see is the 17th in 2026 general election there on the slide. This deadline obviously is sufficient for people to get their sample vote before going to early voting or voting on election day. However, those wishing to vote by mail may not receive their sample ballot currently before their mail ballot. And just I'll give a little bit of my situation and how this came to my attention. In September, before the last general election, I was getting phone calls and text messages from constituents confused because their mail ballot showed up in their mail in September. And they thought it was their sample ballot. Some of them threw it away because they just thought it was a sample. I don't need this. But it was their actual mail ballot. So when they wanted to vote, they no longer had their ballots. And so today, we're here to present to say, you know what, we really need to ensure that the sample ballots get to people before their mail ballots get to their mailbox, just like we've been doing with early voting and election day. I'll kind of skip down because I know we're tight on time today. But Assembly Bill 148 not only addresses the timeline for distributing sample ballots, but it also establishes a clear time frame to distribute mail ballots, which was the amendment under revision number 1 from the Speaker. So existing law was kind of ambiguous about when the mail ballots must be distributed, and only specified that they must be distributed no later than 20 days before an election. Under current law, clerks could technically distribute the general mail ballots in June, right after the primary, which clearly people would lose and not be able to utilize, or they could start voting in June and right after the primary. So with such an open-ended time frame, voters are left wondering when they will receive their mail ballots. Assembly Bill 148 prescribes the new time frame for distributing the mail ballots to provide clarity to voters and prevent overlap with the distribution of the sample ballots. And then the first Assembly Bill 148 revises the deadline for distributing the mail ballots from not later than 20 days before the election to instead on or after the 5th Monday before the election. As you'll see right there on the calendar would be November 5th, right? No, October 5th, sorry. That would be the earliest that the mail ballots could be sent out, but not later than the 4th Monday before the election, which on the map here, or on the calendar here, would be October 12th. So it makes it a week-long window for the mail ballots to go out. And then the other portion of the bill would just say that sample ballots have to be mailed out before the 4th, so that it ensures that people are getting their sample ballots before they receive their actual mail ballots, to end some of the confusion that we saw last, and to avoid the situation where the mail ballots could be sent out in June or in night counties. And again, I wanted to clarify, my clerk was super efficient by getting our ballots out in September. I have to give her massive kudos. She didn't break the law or anything like that. She was just being extremely efficient, getting them out as soon as she physically could get them done. However, it did cause a lot of confusion with our constituents. So, Mr. Chair, committee members, that concludes my presentation on Assembly Bill 148. I really do appreciate your time. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hafen, for presenting the bill, and thank you to your intern. The visual is fantastic. It really helps me, at least, with trying to understand the issue. And I think the bill is more timely now because, I've heard things in the news about possible cuts to the U.S. Postal Service. And, I think trying to get these ballots out earlier is now even more important. Members, any questions for Assemblymember Hafen? No, not seeing any questions. Thank you, and thank you to your intern for the presentation. With that, I would like to open it up to support for Assembly Bill 148. I'll start here in Carson City, and then I'll go down to Las Vegas. Whoever would like to speak in support, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Priscilla Gomez. That's Priscella, last name Gomez, and I'm the Democracy Manager at Silver State Voices. I'm here to testify in support of AB 148 on behalf of my organization and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. We at Silver State Voices view AB 148 as a meaningful step forward in reducing confusion around the vote by mail process. In the 2024 general election, almost 45% of Nevada voters used mail to cast their ballots. Unfortunately, several counties experienced delays in sending out voters' sample ballots, which created confusion surrounding which ballots were the official ballot. As an organization that works on voter education and get out the vote efforts, we frequently hear from voters who are unsure of when they will receive their sample and mail ballots. AB 148 would provide clarity by setting consistent expectations for when official election materials will arrive from the county registrars. This benefits all voters, including those who choose to vote in person and often bring their sample ballots to the polls as reference. Giving Nevada voters ample time to review their sample ballots allows them to make informed decisions before voting. We thank Assembly Member Hafen and Speaker Yeager for bringing this piece of legislation forward, and we urge the committee to support AB 148. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony, Ms. Gomez. Whoever would like to begin next here in Carson City, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, Vice Chair Daly, Kayla Maese, Kaylah Maese, Civil Rights Analyst at the ACLU of Nevada, and as partners of the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition, we support AB 148 and urge the committee to support as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mestis. Dr. Tenorio, please go ahead.
Isaac Tenorio, Izacktenorio. Isaac Tenorio with Strategy 360, today representing Campion Legal Center. Campion Legal Center supports AB 148 to ensure the voters timely receive their sample ballots in advance on the arrival for their mail ballots. This sensible policy not only provides voters with more time to research candidates and issues, it also helps to minimize any confusion that voters may face if their materials arrive simultaneously to each other or out of order. While current law, the clerks are only mandated to send sample ballots to registered voters before early voting begins, AB 148 will peg the distribution of sample ballots to occur before the deadline for sending out mail ballots and shift the mail ballot deadline. Combined, this approach will facilitate more informed decision making on the part of voters and enable them to align their votes with their values and when receive their official mail ballots. We thank Minority Leader Hafen and Speaker Yeager for this piece of legislation. We urge the committee to vote yes. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. Good afternoon, Mr. Orozco.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Noel Orozco. That's N-O-E, accent over the E, O-R-O-S-C-O. I'm the Government Affairs Manager with Make the Road Nevada. Voting by mail is a very popular and accessible way for eligible voters to participate in elections. In the 2024 general election, nearly 45% of Nevadans voters opted to cast their ballot by mail, demonstrating the widespread reliance on this method. Although voting by mail is a popular method, many people still have difficulties with it because of the timing of when they receive the election materials. It is important to recognize that not all voters who receive the mail ballot end up voting by mail. Some end up choosing to vote at a polling place, but they still bring their sample ballots with them as a reference. By requiring the counties to send the sample ballots before mailing the official ballots, voters have the opportunity to review and make informed decisions based on the candidates and ballot measures before they receive the official ballot. And for that, we thank the sponsor for bringing this forward, and we ask you to support it.
Thanks for your testimony. Down in Las Vegas, whoever would like to begin first, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Chair Orenshaw, members of the Senate Committee, my name is Anahit Bakhshetyan. For the record, that is ANAHIT and I'm a research assistant at Nevada Policy. Today, Nevada Policy comes in strong support of Assembly Bill 148. It is a common sense, strong reform that we heard all about today, so I will not bore you with all the great reforms that the bill is making, but I would like to highlight that 48% of voters in Nevada voted by mail for the 2020 election, and the number grew to 51% in 2022, and as we heard just mentioned, 44.99% of voters voted by mail. So clearly, sample ballots are resources that all the voters heavily rely on while making decisions and also while understanding the election process. So the proper sequencing of all the ballot materials and the proper delivery will ensure that all the voters have equal access to information and can make informed decisions. And for those reasons, we urge the committee to support this piece of legislation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much. Whoever would like to go next.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. My name is Chanel, C-H-A-N-E-L, Casanello, C-A-S-S-A-N-E-L-L-O, and I'm the campaign manager at All Voting is Local Action Nevada, an organization that advocates for policies and legislation that expand voter access. I am here in support of AB 148. AB 148 is a common sense bill that addresses a simple but important issue, the timing of when voters receive their election materials. Voters should receive their sample ballots before their mail ballots and their mail ballots before early voting begins. If a voter receives their sample ballot well after their mail ballot has arrived, it leads to confusion, adds an unnecessary cost to the system without providing any real benefit to the voter, and leads to the perception that the sample ballot is useless despite being a great resource for voters. Sample ballots arriving late undermines the goal of helping voters make well-informed decisions. They are essential tools that help voters prepare and make a plan to vote. They contain important information that voters rely on, such as key dates, voter registration information, early voting and election day polling sites, drop-off locations, candidates, and ballot questions. In addition, AB 148 ensures that voters are sent their official mail ballots between the 5th and 4th Monday before early voting begins. By standardizing this timeframe, it benefits both voters and county election officials and optimizes the opportunity to vote early. Voters will have the materials they need when they need it to make a decision on how to cast their ballots with confidence. This measure offers a practical solution, ensuring voters have the tools to research issues and candidates and be prepared to vote by the method they so choose. For these reasons, I urge you to support AB 148. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. Whoever would like to go next, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Onshaw and members of the committee. My name is William Moore, spelled Williammoore. I'm the Nevada Civic Engagement Director with Mi Familia en Acción, here testifying in support of AB 148. Mi Familia en Acción is a civic engagement organization where we advocate for issues that impact Latino and working class communities. We support AB 148 because it is a logical policy that can help turn potential voters into consistent voters. We ran a nonpartisan Get Out the Vote program in Las Vegas last year, and while in the community, we helped answer many questions about the voting process, and folks even asked us about the sample ballot. We know our community here in Nevada has been built by people who come from a variety of backgrounds, and by ensuring voters are sent sample ballots before mail-in ballots, AB 148 will help more of us have the time and information that's needed to make an informed decision at the polls. Nevada is a beautifully diverse community, and bills like AB 148 will promote voter participation among voters who have historically faced voting barriers. And at Mi Familia en Acción, we strongly believe that more participation and confidence can inspire continued progress. Thank you, Assembly Member Hafen and Speaker Yeager, for sponsoring this bill. We recommend that the committee support AB 148. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Thanks for your testimony. I'm not seeing anyone else in either of the hearing rooms, so broadcasting, could we go to the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 148?
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 148, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAP, MAN, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. Excuse me. Thank you for putting the amendment in that puts the dates that the sample ballots need to be put in the mail. And it might seem like a small change, but it's a big help with people filling out their ballots without messing up their actual mail-in ballots. I live in Washoe County, and I received my sample ballot after early voting had begun and had been going for a while, but I received my actual mail-in ballot before I received my sample ballot. It was really crazy. I was asked by a number of people what was going on and if their ballot was their sample ballot, and everybody was very confused. I was able to help a lot of people figure everything out. So this bill looks to be the simple solution to the problem. It's a great bill, so please vote yes on AB 148. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of this committee. I'm Kimberly Fergus, FERGUS. To save time, I rise in strong support of Assembly Bill 148. The smart, proactive, updates everything, and I echo everything everybody else testified on. Please support this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and Committee. My name is Jim DeGraffenreid, JIMDEGRAFFENREID. I'm Nevada's Republican National Committee man, here today on behalf of the Nevada Republican Party in support of AB 148. Thank you, Minority Leader Hafen and Speaker Yeager, for bringing this bill forward. This is a common sense adjustment to the election calendar to ensure that sample ballots arrive prior to actual ballots. The Nevada Republican Party election office was flooded with calls and questions last cycle over mail ballots arriving before sample ballots. We're pleased to see bipartisan cooperation and support to make sure this is resolved before the next election. We support AB 148 and urge the committee to pass this bill, which had unanimous support in the Assembly. Thank you.
This is Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIAPERINE. I support this bill. It is common sense. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Jessica Munger, MUNGER, Programs Manager for Silver State Equality, Nevada's statewide LGBTQ+ civil rights organization, and we are also in support of AB 148. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tristan St. Dennis. I am the Policy Associate with the Nevada Conservation League. The Nevada Conservation League works to protect Nevada's environment and uphold the values of Nevadans while doing so. We believe the health of our planet and the health of our democracy are linked. This will ensure that voters have their sample ballots ahead of time so they can be well informed each election cycle. For these reasons, we urge your support. Thank you.
Hello again, this is Ellen Gifford, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pauline Lee, and I'm president of the Nevada Republican Club. I'd like to thank Assembly Minority Leader Hafen and Speaker Yeager for this bill. I strongly urge you to vote in favor of AB 148, which concerns the deadline for the county clerks to send out mail ballots to voters. This bill further sets the deadline for the county clerks to distribute sample ballots before the deadline to send out mail ballots. This bill is practical, logical, and will allow voters to have sufficient time to review their sample ballots. They will have the time to read all of the arguments in favor of and against various statewide questions and propositions. This is a good, nonpartisan bill, which will allow more time for voters to be engaged. This bill will help voters to be more informed and to gain a deeper understanding of what they're being requested to vote on. So please pass this bill and make it into law. Thank you so much.
Good day, Chair and Vice Chair. This is a member of the committee. This is Dora Martinez with the Nevada Disability Peer Action Coalition, and we thank the Majority Leader Yeager and the Minority Leader Hayden for sponsoring this bill. This bill is a dream come true for people who are disabled in this state because it will give us time to do research and be well informed, and also to go out to vote and know who we are voting for. So thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. For the record, my name is Matilda Miller. That's MATHILVA, Government Relations Director of Native Voters Alliance Nevada, and we're in strong support of Assembly Bill 148, and we're grateful for this bipartisan, common sense solution. In my household, voting is a shared tradition. When our sample ballots arrive, we sit down as a family to walk through the issues together, making sure that everyone understands what's at stake. In fact, my dad, he's 70 now. He reads his sample ballot cover to cover the morning after it arrives, and he has coffee in his hand. So by the time his mail ballot actually shows up, he's ready, and that's exactly what this bill supports. It gives voters time to prepare. Voting should be clear, accessible, and informed, not rushed or confusing. When voters have the tools and time to understand the ballot, turnout improves, and trust in the system improves, and democracy delivers for all of us. We urge your support. Thank you.
If you've recently joined us and would like to testify in support of AB 148, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no more callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Thanks very much, Broadcasting. I'd like to now go to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to the measure and wishes to be heard in Carson City or down in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward. So Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition to the Assembly Bill 148?
If you'd
Oh,
like to
I'm
testify
so-
in opposition to
I'm so sorry, Broadcasting. There is
AB
someone.
148.
I apologize, Broadcasting. There is someone down in Las Vegas. We're taking opposition testimony. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Can I request to be put in support?
Yes, please go ahead. In support, please state your name for the record and proceed, sir.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Eric Zhang, ERICJNG. I'm the Executive Director of One API in Nevada, advocating for the fast-growing Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community. Here in full support. Sorry, just missed the cutoff for Las Vegas. I want to say this because as someone that have translated the sample ballot and voting materials from the cover to the back, it will tremendously help the work that we're doing for language access and being able to utilize community volunteers, community leaders, and advocates to be able to translate these materials to help our community get more involved. So I want to thank the sponsors, and great to see Leader Hafen here for this bill. So we are here and bring the community together, and hopefully we get to make democracy more accessible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang. And just want to make sure there's no one else who wants to speak in support of the measure down in Las Vegas or up in Carson City. Oh, yes. Good evening. Please state your name for the record and proceed. In support of Assembly Bill 148. And excuse me, I think your microphone's not on.
My apologies. Good evening. Good evening, Chair and Committee. My apologies for running late. I was in another meeting. I am Ashley Dodson, ASHLEY DODSON of Anchor Perspectives. I am a policy analyst on behalf of the NAACP Chapter 1111. We are here in support of AB 148, which strengthens election accessibility and transparency by requiring that all active registered voters receive sample ballots and polling location notices before the mail ballot distribution deadline. This bill addresses issues of delayed information and confusion, particularly in underserved communities, and ensures voters are better equipped to participate in the democratic process. AB 148 promotes equity, informed voting, and increased civic engagement, and we urge its swift passage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dodson. Thanks for your testimony. Anyone else who wants to speak in support of the measure in either of the hearing rooms, Carson City or Las Vegas? All right, well, now we'll go to opposition. If there's anyone who's opposed to the measure in either of the two hearing rooms, Carson City or Las Vegas, please come forward. I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting now, could we go to the phone lines for opposition testimony to Assembly Bill 148?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 148, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. There are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, Broadcasting. I'd like to go to neutral. Anyone who's neutral on the measure and wishes to be heard in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, either of the hearing rooms. I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone neutral on Assembly Bill 148 who wishes to be heard on the phone lines?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 148, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. There are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Hafen, any closing comments you'd like to make? Well, we appreciate you being here to present the bill, and thank you to your intern and to everyone who's spoken support. We will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 148. And members, we are going to be at ease for a little while. I think we're waiting on the Speaker of the Assembly to come join us for Assembly Bill 490. So we're just going to be at ease. Members, if anyone needs to go to the bathroom, feel free to go, and we'll open the hearing as soon as the Speaker is able to join us. Good afternoon, Speaker. Thank you so much for joining us. We will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 490. Thank you very much for presenting the bill today. I know you're super busy, and whenever you have to leave, feel free, and we'll proceed on. Appreciate you being here to present the bill.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, members of the Senate Legislative Operations and Elections Committee. Thank you for your patience today as I got over here. I'm sad I missed the prior bill because hopefully you noted I was a co-sponsor on that bill and supportive as well. I'd hoped to make it over and give comments, but I was otherwise detained in Senate Health and Human Services. But Chair, my name is Steve Yeager. I represent Assembly District 9 in Southwest Las Vegas, and it's an honor to present Assembly Bill 490 in its first reprint to you this afternoon. Assembly Bill 490 is about public access to one of our state's most important type of court cases, initiative petitions. Under existing law, the First Judicial District here in Carson City has exclusive jurisdiction over those cases, initiative petition cases. That means that these cases cannot, by law, be heard anywhere else in the state. I suspect the First Judicial District Court was given exclusive jurisdiction because it is a court located here in Carson City, Nevada's capital. While exclusive jurisdiction might have made sense when the statute was originally enacted, it doesn't make sense in our modern world. Unfortunately, many judicial districts in Nevada, including Carson City, have not modernized to a point where the public has meaningful access to what is happening in those courts. This means that documents are not easily available, nor are the hearings easily accessible. For instance, there is no online access to documents, greatly slowing down the process of getting documents from these courts. You actually have to travel to the court to request a document in person. There is no online access to hearings, meaning neither the press nor the public can watch proceedings without traveling to the courthouse and watching them live and in person. This leaves Nevadans in the dark about what is happening in these cases. The result of this is that media and the public are left in the dark about these cases, which again are among some of the most important cases that we have happening in our state. According to Tabitha Mueller, a politics reporter at the Nevada Independent, quote, "Accessing court information quickly and efficiently is essential for informing the public. The current setup often results in delays, hindering our ability to provide timely and accurate reporting," end quote. Caitlin Newberg, a reporter at the Las Vegas Review-Journal, said at a panel on the issue that wider online access would ensure court documents aren't limited to just a handful of people who learn over time how to navigate the system and learn the right person in time to call a court. Quote, "Having an open court system lets us follow these cases through the system, continue to report on them, and give people access to information, which really is a basic foundation of both journalism and our democracy as a whole," end quote. In addition, when courts have fewer than 5 judges, there aren't as many judges left when each side chooses to use a peremptory challenge against a judge. Currently, only Clark and Washoe counties would qualify under this metric, but those counties are definitely more representative of the population of Nevada as a whole. The lack of modernization results in a lack of confidence in the judicial system and judicial proceedings, especially when it comes to contentious cases such as initiative petitions. So, Chair, with that sort of background, tell you how I got to the bill. I want to go through the bill. It's relatively straightforward, but let me take you through it. Section 4 specifies what a qualified district court means in the context of a dispute about the signature gathering process for initiative petitions. So as you all know, initiative petitions, one of the first things you have to do is gather signatures. And if that process is being challenged, Section 4 tells you where you'd be able to file a case if there was a challenge to that. And it would be a qualified district court. And I can go through that in just a second, Chair, but Section 5 applies that same qualified district court standard to the context of a dispute about that signature verification process. And then Section 6, when there's a challenge to the single subject rule and the description of effect for petition initiatives, that would specify what a qualified district court means. So, am I on the wrong bill?
No, I appreciate Speaker, and I just was thinking, I've heard about the concern regarding this for many sessions, and I think I and many others felt, well, this needs to be remedied, but this is just too big a fight to take on, and you're our champion, not afraid to take on big fights, because I think for years I've heard concern as our population centers have grown in other judicial districts, and as the importance of, we're a state that has initiative referendum and recall and allows direct participation in democracy, not, by our voters. And it's so important, and having the geographical difficulties and certainly the technological difficulties with so many of these cases having to go to this particular district rather than perhaps the home district. I think it's such a timely bill, such a great bill. And I do want to just point out to members that we are looking at Assembly Bill 490, the first reprint. So, and I have an extra copy here if members, we have extra copies here. We are looking at the first reprint, not the original version, just for members to make sure that we are all, yep, maybe we have an extra. Thank you. And is there one more? Or you can have my copy. You're welcome to have my copy, because I'm looking at it online. So thank you.
And Chair, with your permission, this is Steve Yeager for the record. I can just note the bill started out much more expansive. It applied to everything where the first judicial district had exclusive jurisdiction. So there are 12, 13, 14 categories of cases in the law where you must file here in Carson City in the first judicial district. In looking at that, and to your point, Chair, I wanted to be a little bit more targeted. So what you see in this first reprint is we're only talking about petition initiatives. And one of the reasons I picked those is almost every petition initiative case is challenged in court. I mean, from the moment the thing is filed, it is challenged on the single subject rule, it is challenged on the description of effect, and then if there are disputes about the signatures, those get challenged. In fact, I don't remember a petition initiative in recent history that has not been challenged on the single subject rule or the description of effect. So this bill just targets that one category of case, and it says the following. This is the part that I didn't quite get to. Jurisdiction can remain here in the first judicial district, but they need to modernize. They need to have online access to their documents, and there needs to be a way for the public to watch the hearings without having to travel to Carson City. I'm happy to report that I think the first judicial district court is very close to modernizing. One of the reasons I think it makes sense to do this now, many of you may not know, but for a long time, we had two long-serving district court judges here in the first judicial district. So they developed an expertise and knowledge around these cases. We've now had turnover where both of those judges have retired, and we have two new judges serving here in the first judicial district court. I think that's good for a couple reasons. Number one, I think they're motivated to modernize in a way so that these important cases that happen here can be accessible to the public. But also we should recognize that expertise that developed with those judges over many, many years and decades, it's not there anymore. So I think there's a good reason to spread these cases out. So the first judicial district can keep the cases as long as they modernize. And then the other two options would be to file in a district court that has 5 or more judges where they have modernization. So essentially Clark or Washoe. And so what would happen is if someone was going to file a challenge on this case, the litigant would decide where to file. They could choose among those 3 jurisdictions in terms of where they wanted to file, only for these very select petition initiative cases. And I just think that's a better way to distribute the cases. And maybe we ought to look at all the exclusive jurisdiction in Carson City like I did in the original bill. But in second thought, I thought maybe it's just to take a small bite of that apple, because I know for myself, these petition initiative cases, and they matter a lot to us in the legislature, because these are things that come to the legislature as initiative petitions, and we have 40 days to act on them. When you are in Las Vegas, and for me in Las Vegas, or Senator Krasner has a little bit easier because she can drive down, but you're not able to watch the arguments online. You're not able to access the documents online. And, I think that's a disservice, not just to us as legislators, because these things are going to fall into our laps, but for our constituents and for reporters to be able to report about what is being talked about. And finally, Chair, just by way of context, one question I anticipate is, well, what kind of things do we get by petition initiative? Now, some of you have been here longer than others, but I think about this last session we had the right to strike for teachers. A couple sessions before that, we had raising of the gaming tax, raising of the mining tax. We had petition initiatives related to funding education. These are usually big issues that have a dramatic impact on the state. So to tell somebody they have to travel to Carson City in person to watch the hearing, or they have to travel here and actually make a request at the courthouse to get a document. That seems to me to be a disservice, but I wanted to make clear that it doesn't exclude Carson City. We just need them to modernize, and I think they are on track to do that. So, Chair, with that very long presentation of a very short bill, I'll stop and answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Speaker Yeager, any questions for the Speaker of the Assembly? Senator Krasner.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. How difficult, I mean, how expensive is it to modernize? They just need a camera so we can see the proceedings, and then they need to put the documents on the internet, right?
Steve Yeager, for the record. Essentially, you're right? We want to, they need a case management system, and I think that's in the works, and they need to be able to stream like we do at the legislature, right? We're streaming to Las Vegas right now, so that technology is there. And you know, I don't know what the cost is, but I have been advised that Carson City is on their way to doing that. Truthfully, I don't think I think some of our smaller jurisdictions might never modernize in that way, right? It's a big cost when you only have like one judge. But I think the Supreme Court also, the Nevada Supreme Court, is trying to be supportive in helping modernize. So I don't think the cost is overly burdensome. And if I'm being realistic about it, like it really makes sense for the First Judicial District Court, not just for these type of cases, but for all the other kinds of really important cases that have exclusive jurisdiction here. One would be elections. When you think about every presidential election, we have a bunch of lawsuits that are filed challenging this, that, or the other that happened in the election, and those are exclusively to Carson City. So beyond this kind of cases, there are benefits to modernization that will, you know, apply to all those different cases. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but I think they're on the way to doing that, and I hope that provides this little last motivation to get there so that we don't have to drive here to watch the hearings. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Speaker. Any additional questions, members? I'm not seeing any additional questions, and Vice Chair Daley is upstairs in Assembly Ledge Op. So we will now open it up for support of Assembly Bill 490. Anyone who'd like to be heard in support, either in Carson City or down in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Members are broadcasting. Anyone on the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 490?
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 490, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. There are no callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. We'll go to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to the measure and wishes to be heard in either of the hearing rooms, Carson City or Las Vegas? Not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to be heard in opposition to Assembly Bill 490?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 490, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Anyone who's neutral on AB 490 wishes to be heard, either of the hearing rooms, Carson City or Las Vegas? Not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to be heard in the neutral position on the bill?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 490, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. There are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Speaker, any closing comments you'd like to make? Well, thank you very much for being here. And I did want to report to you that we did work session your Assembly Bill 306 today, and it did pass. So thank you very much for being here. With that, I'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 490. And last item on our agenda is public comment. Anyone who wishes to make public comment at either of the hearing rooms, Carson City or Las Vegas, now's your chance. Not seeing anyone come forward in the hearing rooms. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to make public comment? We are limiting it to 2 minutes per person.
If you'd like to provide public comment, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. If you'd like to provide public comment, please press *9. One moment, please. Chair, we're having a little trouble with the caller here. One moment, please. Caller with
Can
the
you
phone
hear me?
number. There you go. Thank you, caller. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jane B. Davis, and I'm a voter from my county. I'm strongly opposed to a recent resolution that was introduced by the legislators, as it assumes it is expressing the sentiments of all Nevadans. It does not. My understanding is that communications from legislators reflect their constituents' opinions. It should be made clear that the resolution reflects the legislators' sentiments, not all Nevadans. I agree with condemning that type of attack, but totally disagree with your stance on this specific condemnation of the president's pardons and commutations. The president had and has access to information you as legislators did not and do not have. If you do have evidence, not hearsay, to the contrary, Nevadans need to be informed before producing such a resolution as if you are speaking on behalf of all Nevadans. Please vote no on this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair. There are no other callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. Thanks, broadcasting. Thanks, staff, for all your help. Thanks to the members for your thoughtful and insightful questions. With that, we are adjourned.